Hey guys, welcome to your next to last video for the summer assignment part 1. Don't forget there's a part 2 that deals with all of the second chapter in the textbook. So it's very important you use the other Moodle below for you, it says Unit 1, to help you for references. But for this lesson, we're going to talk about basic trigonometry. And there's 4 main things you should know for basic trigonometry. The Pythagorean theorem, which we're going to show here in a second, sine, cosine, and tangent. So let's first look at this problem. It says we have to find the missing side. Well, whenever you're trying to find the missing side or an angle, it's so vital to know what information you have. And also what's important to know is that all these problems involve right triangles. So for this problem, I'm trying to find a missing side. Okay, which means I could use the Pythagorean theorem, sine, cosine, and tangent, all depending on what information I have. And the only information I have is 2 sides of the triangle. Specifically, I have the hypotenuse and some other side, and I'm looking for the other one. Since I have 2 of the 3 sides of the triangle, I need to use the Pythagorean theorem. And I don't have any of the angles besides the 90 degrees here. I don't have these 2 angles, so I can't use sine, cosine, or tangent. So because of this, I'm going to use Pythagorean theorem. Well, what is Pythagorean theorem? Well, simply put, it's this equation which says a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, well, what is a, b, and c? A and B could be either of these. It doesn't matter. It does not matter which of these is the A or the B. I'm just going to say this is the A and this is the B. Honestly, again, it does not matter. What does matter, though, is the hypotenuse, which is always the longest side. The hypotenuse, which is this one right here, is always the C. Okay, again, C is always the hypotenuse. Well, I'm basically trying to solve for B. So let us manipulate, because we talked about how to do equation manipulation, and get B all by itself. To get B all by itself, I need to subtract a squared from both sides. Don't forget, got to show my work. So I'll do a squared minus a squared plus b squared equals c squared minus a squared. The a squares cancel, and I'm left with b squared equals c squared minus a squared. Okay, next, what do I need to do? Basically, I need to take the square root of both sides. So I'll take the square root of both sides. These will cancel. Now be careful. Do not cancel these squares. The square root does not cancel this square and this square, okay? Don't do that. Very naughty. Don't do that. But here's my equation. I'm left with b, there it goes, equals the square root of c squared minus a squared. Technically, this should be like in parentheses, which is why I don't cancel the squares there. And now I just plug in my numbers. So it's going to be the square root of c is 14, so I do 14 squared minus 6.1 squared. Now I want to type this all on my calculator at once, everything like that. And what's also important is sig figs. So in this case, since I'm subtracting, I want to do farthest left uncertain digit, which in this case is the 4. If you can't see that, shame on you, but it is the 4. So that means I want to round to the ones place, or you can say the nearest whole number. But let's type this in the calculator. I hit square root of 14 squared, parentheses, make sure that works. 14 squared, oh no, hit the wrong button. 14 squared minus 6.1 squared, close my parentheses. I get 12.6 0119042. I get a bunch of numbers. Well, again, since I want to round to the ones place, I'm just going to show you real quick. 12.601, I'll just say 1, 1. Since I want to round to the ones place, look at the number next to the 2. It's a 6, which tells me to round up, and that says make it 13. And there is my answer. Done with the first one. Let's move on to the second example. In this case, I am trying to find a missing angle. Again, look at the information you have. I have this angle is what I'm trying to find here. This is the symbol theta, which means angle. I have an A and a B. Specifically, I have the side opposite of the angle, and I have the side adjacent to the angle. Now, you definitely need to memorize this expression. Maybe you already know it, but it's called SOHCAHTOA. SOHCAHTOA. I've learned this since I was in 7th grade, and it says sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. So the question is, which of these am I going to use? Am I going to use sine, cosine, or tangent? Well, again, what do you have? I have this opposite side of the angle, and I have this adjacent side of the angle. I do not, I repeat, I do not have the hypotenuse. Since I don't have the hypotenuse, I know right away it can't be sine or cosine. It has to be tangent. So here's the equation I'm going to use. Tan theta, tangent theta, equals opposite over adjacent. Now, the thing is, I need to get theta by itself. So, this is something new. How do I get rid of tan? How do I get rid of a tangent? How do I bring tangent to the other side? Well, there's a very special button on a calculator. And again, don't forget, you guys are going to get graphing calculators in the first day of school. There's a very important button on a calculator called inverse tangent, or tan inverse, or inverse tan, sometimes I call it. There's a bunch of different names. Basically, it looks like tan with a -1 exponent. That will get rid of tangent on this side and bring it over here. So to show your work, it's going to look like this. Tan, or inverse tan, to -1. Tan theta equals inverse tangent, whoops, -1, opposite over adjacent. Inverse tan and tan cancel, and that leaves me with the equation theta, my angle, equals inverse tangent, the opposite over adjacent. Okay, so basically I just type that in my calculator. Opposite, the side opposite of the angle is 18, so I put 18 right here. And then the side adjacent to the angle is 12. Now, how do you type that in the calculator? It really depends on the type of calculator. For my specific one, I have a graphing one, which you guys are going to get, but a lot of those TI, XII, XS ones, the kinds we use in honors chemistry, they are very similar to this one. You just literally hit second tan, and I'll say tan to the -1, and you type in 18 divided by 12. Some calculators you have to hit 18 divided by 12 first, then hit inverse tangent. It all depends on your calculator, so I'm going to give you the answer. Use the calculator you have. iPhones can also do this. Use the calculator you have to see if you can get the same answer, and that's how you'll figure it out. But I get an answer of 56.3099. There's a bunch of other numbers, but I'm just going to write that down. Whoa, and that's not my final answer. So we got to do sig figs. I don't know why I did that symbol for this part, but whatever. 56.3099. Okay, since this is division, I'm dividing. I want to do fewest number of sig figs. Well, both of these are 2 sig figs, so I should only have 2 sig figs. Start here. 1, 2. Look at the number next to the 6. It's a 3, which means keep it a 6. And my final answer is the angle is 56 degrees. 56 degrees. And there you go. Now, since I have this angle, I could find this angle. Since I know this is 90, don't forget, you should know this from geometry, but for any triangle, right triangle, any triangle, when you add up all the angles, it should equal 180. So I could find this angle now without doing any sine, cosine, tangent stuff, but there you go. So this is how you do basic trigonometry. Okay, we have another video going over more trigonometry just to give you more examples.